Yo, what up, Nyakos? It's your buddy Philko here reporting live for your mama's house. Doing my thing as I usually do. Chilling, letting my body recover. 'Cause I'm fucking dying here from playing football yesterday. But anyway, I want to get to the girl that you see on the screen. This girl right here. Let me say first and foremost, she is amazing. I really have nothing but good things to say about her. She was a burn victim. And basically, long story short, links in the description if you want to hear the whole story. But she basically mastered the art of makeup, and now when she goes out and wears makeup, you can't even tell she was ever burnt on her face. She went through things like people making fun of her as she got older, and blah 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 blah, and all that stuff. But what grabbed my attention was throughout her telling her story and all this stuff, she kept mentioning how people have to love themselves. She always says she doesn't like one half better than the other, but she loves herself. She loves both halves equally. You gotta love yourself and all this stuff first, and all those things, whatever. Now, when it comes to the business aspect of what she's doing, I'm all for it. I have nothing to say about it at all. But let's just be real about something here. What does it really mean to love yourself? What does it really mean to love yourself? I don't think it has anything to do with who you date or who you hang out with. I believe when you love yourself is how you feel about yourself regardless of what others think. That's when it comes to loving yourself. So if you have, especially when you talk about yourself naturally, so let's say if you, like black women, a lot of black women really love their big butts. I know that. A lot of them really do. How do I know? Because before big butts were popular, white people were always, get a smaller butt, your ass looks fat, ill. Most black women didn't give a damn. They kept showing their butts and wearing the pants because they honestly liked it. So they didn't try to hide it, they just threw it in your face because they honestly loved it. Am I wrong? For many years, black women they loved having a booty. And a lot of them even like being big. Most of them just like having big butt, but a lot of them like being big too. That's becoming bigger nowadays, just being larger. You know what I mean? A lot of them really like it, right? And that's how you know when you love yourself, when you don't really care too much about how other people react or how other people feel because you're happy with the skin you're in, so to say. Now with her, she talks about she loves both halves equally. I don't think I can agree with that. Come on. How are you going to claim you love both halves equally? Because one half you don't have to do anything, and the other half you have to do work to get. And you damn near mastered it, which is good. But it's crap to say something like you love both halves of it. It's crap because she speaks about how she got made fun of and all this stuff, and of course it hurt her feelings, which is very understandable. But of course, if she could, she would snap her fingers anytime and not even have to wear makeup. It would be like that naturally. Not saying she just hates it, but just as a people, I'm getting tired, especially in American society. I'm getting tired of us just saying things because it sounds nice. We're really getting used to saying things because it just sounds like the nice thing to say. It sounds like the nice thing, the fair thing to say. The PC thing to say almost. You know what I mean? It's like, look, why would it be so hard to say something like, I feel better about myself when I hide it, or it feels better when I'm in public and I have on makeup, or why is it hard to say that stuff? You're a burn victim, and that's unfortunate because you weren't born that way. You weren't, well, it's unfortunate either way, but you weren't even born that way. It was an accident. Okay? It was an accident, which sucks, but what's the harm in saying that you like it much better when your scars are covered up? Come on. If I'm a short dude, if I had these shoes that made me 4 inches taller and people couldn't tell, I would be dead ass. I'm like, man, I feel better when I'm with these shoes on because people look at me, they think I'm taller, and therefore I'm able to get more women. What would be the harm in saying that? I wouldn't want to say, yeah, I like them both equally when I'm short and when I'm tall. No, I like when I'm tall better. No, that's just an example. So this all stems down to that, oversensitivity. Just we say things that are just seem like the nice thing to say. We don't always say things because we mean them in American culture. We just want to say the thing that sounds like the nicest thing possible typically. You know, it comes to the point where, like, for example, I'll give Donald Trump as an example. Now, I know how a lot of you guys work. Another thing I don't like about the American mentality. You usually attack the person instead of attacking the statement or idea. I'm about to say something about Donald Trump, but forget who he is and just listen to the statement. If you agree with somebody for one thing or two things, doesn't mean you like the person. It just means they made a point. So if Donald Trump says 2 plus 2 is 4, you're going to disagree with him because he's Donald Trump? But let me give you an example. When Donald Trump said something like, we have an illegal immigrant problem. You know, he says, we have a little illegal immigrant problem. We got to start getting rid of illegal immigrants and stuff like that. Now, straight off the bat, people just come out saying things like, oh, he's racist, he's hateful, all the stuff. But be real for a second. As a president, it's one of your jobs. And if I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments. As a president, it's one of your jobs to make sure the law is being taken care of the way it is, the way it's supposed to be, sorry. So, a president trying to correct something that's happening in his country illegally, just from the statements I said, don't go into everything else about Mexicans, I'm just talking about the statement I made about we have a lot of illegal immigrants, we got to take care of that, basically like that, right? What is wrong with that statement? There's nothing wrong with it. It just sounds hateful, and it hurts people's feelings, but there's nothing wrong with that statement. We have an illegal immigrant issue, and we got to do something about it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. To come from a person who's a presidential candidate, that's not racist. That's trying to help America uphold its laws and values. There's logically nothing wrong with him saying that. Not saying you have to deport every single illegal immigrant, but if you do have an illegal immigration problem in your country, as a president, that's one of the issues you need to tackle. You understand? So that's it. Just that, there's nothing wrong with that statement. You know, and basically, when I'm giving that reason, I'm making that as an example, is because I just want you guys to understand that sometimes you may hear something that doesn't sound like the nicest thing in the world. Doesn't make it wrong. Doesn't make it wrong just because it's not nice. Does it make sense? So she said something very nice, but be honest. Does that make sense? No, it doesn't make sense that she loves both sides equally. Unless she's coming from a perspective like, if it weren't for these scars on my face, I wouldn't be a makeup master. I'll feel you on that. You know what I mean? It's like Kevin Hart saying, if I weren't so short, I wouldn't be so funny. I feel you. I got you on that. But at any second, either Kevin Hart, either her, or whoever the hell can snap their fingers and she wouldn't have scars, or he could just be taller and still as funny, they'd both do it. Instantly. Why not? What will be the downside of it? Would she snap her fingers to make the other side all scarred up? I mean, well, not the other side, but to make her whole entire body all scarred up, or make the scars even worse? No. Would Kevin Hart snap his fingers to make himself even 3 inches shorter? No. So that's what I'm saying, like, it's the nice thing to say isn't always the right thing to say. It's just a nice thing to say, but I just hope we can get out of that habit. You know, I feel for this girl. I like this girl all around. I'm not trying to dog her at all. You know, I'm probably going to go watch her videos. I might even subscribe because, you know, hey, she has a talent. I'm feeling talented people. This is just basically me talking about how people are starting to look at the nice thing as the right thing. And that is not the case. That's not the case. And I'm out, Nyakos. Later.